U.S. beef makes a comeback in China, and a pair of Central Nebraskans at the center of it all. NTV's Tara Gibbons has our top story.
Introduce U.S. beef back into China.
Nebraska beef now sold on shelves in China.
Everybody considers U.S. beef to be the gold standard around the world, and we want to make sure we're here letting them know that in that category, Nebraska is the gold standard of U.S. beef.
Greg Ibaugh joined Craig Uden, president of National Cattlemen Beef Association, along with other U.S. officials for the kickoff.
As we look at how this will impact Nebraska or beef producers in general, I think it will start out small, just like any export market does. And consequently, we want to grow that demand over there.
Uden says it's just like any trade deal. It takes time to process, but it will definitely impact Nebraskans.
There's outside markets, foreign markets, and these plants will invest more into their facilities, which creates more jobs, more opportunities for a lot of the producers in this state.
Benefits from the excess trade have helped too.
Demand right now for our product, but when you add on the increase of exports this year, it's been real surprising in our markets how good the market has been.
Another bright spot, ethanol. Ethanol plant production capacity reached 15.5 billion gallons per year. That's a 4% increase from last year, according to the Energy Information Administration. Looking state by state, the report shows over 2 billion gallons will be made here in Nebraska, making the Cornhusker State second only behind Iowa. Soybean acres soar to record highs, wheat to record lows. The USDA released new numbers this week showing biotech crops used on 96% of the area planted. When it comes to corn acres, Nebraska farmers planted 9.8 million acres. That's down 1% from last year. Soybean acres up 10% from last year, with a new record of 5.7 million acres of beans. 94% of those beans herbicide resistant. The big decline is wheat, just over 1 million acres, a record low. Farm income may be hitting rock bottom. Growers looking for anything to give them an edge. Farm profits are about as low as these planes are flying. Growers are trying to maximize their crops but face pressure from weeds and pests.
Well, with the low prices and everything that we're fighting, we're trying to raise, not only trying to push the yield up, but we're trying to raise corn or beans or any crop that we can as economically as we can.
A university forecast says farm income is bottoming out this year. Collectively, the state's farmers are making half what they did 6 years ago. So every decision comes down to dollars and cents.
Making sure that the investments they're making allow them to be profitable and have the right return on investment.
What I want to show you guys is
Aurora Cooperative is doing something new, trying different things in the same field, seeing which work best.
So we're going to be honest with them about products that work, products that didn't work, and what's the most effective way to get those in the plant.
Wayne Stoltenberg found one switch he's made may be paying off.
I planted a lot of 15-inch row beans this year, which made a huge improvement on your weed control. And
tighter spacing in the field may limit the herbicide-resistant weeds that some call the devil's weed. And not just weeds, but ag chemicals, looking how to get the biggest bang for the buck.
Through fertigation, is it with an airplane, is it with a ground rig? Do they work with herbicides or not?
And as the planes buzz the field, Wayne Stoltenberg is watching.
Yeah, a guy has to keep an open mind.
Row spacing is certainly a consideration for growers. What do you think the ideal row spacing is for corn? 30-inch, 15, or twin row corn even? We would love to see some discussion on Twitter. Log in and cast your vote and comment on which you think is the most promising way to go. And now results of last week's poll. Nebraska may be known for corn and cattle, so what do you think of expanded poultry? And in a landslide, the response very favorable. Some taking a wait and see approach, but most folks say it's another good market for us. A Hall County farmer now facing charges over a weed dispute. Delbert Steuven faces charges for making threats, obstructing government operations, and obstructing a police officer. Prosecutors say the 81-year-old threatened county officials over the weekend when they attempted to spray weeds on his property. The county says it plans to put a $20,000 lien on him for spraying. The judge released him, provided he has no contact with the man spraying or the county weed office. Corn in Nebraska just starting to tassel. The latest USDA report shows corn mostly in the good category. Soybeans are similar. Few crops in the excellent category. Winter wheat harvest underway, about 17% complete. NTV's Ife Sanachi Ibo Simba has more.
Cut, unload, repeat. That's what Darren Niemeyer will do with his time for the next few days.
We've got about 400 acres this year that we've got wheat.
He's working to harvest red winter wheat planted last fall.
What we're harvesting here will take to plants across the country and get ground into flour to make cakes and breads.
As the combine turns and separates the plant, Niemeyer is also getting live updates on how his crop did this season.
I'm really pleased with it. We had that late frost, and I was kind of concerned about if it killed some of it or hurt it. But for the most part, evidently it didn't do too bad. Yields are above average.
But that's not the case for many wheat growers across the state. According to the Nebraska Wheat Board, some farmers in the Panhandle dealing with soil-borne wheat mosaic virus. The pathogen either reduced yields or completely wiped the crops out. The board also says some wheat growers didn't even put a crop in the ground this season because commodity prices last fall were so low compared to production costs, they would have ended up losing money. But with markets beginning to trend up,
the price has rebounded quite a bit here in the last 10 days or so.
Niemeyer is hoping to turn this wheat into a profit for his family. And despite working in an industry full of uncertainty,
it takes a lot of patience.
Niemeyer's still proud to be part of the effort to feed the world.
What we do out here is try to make a safe and abundant food supply for the country.
Still a rite of passage for many kids, but detasseling now done more and more by migrant workers. Before they start, they've got some training to do. About 90 migrant workers learned about the dangers of pesticides and heat exposure. In the 27 years Javier Chapa has done this, he's never had anybody exposed to chemicals, but says it's always a good reminder.
Most of the people is the same people come every year and they know already what they're supposed to do, but it's good to remember them what we're supposed to do in case if we get overheat or get on the field with pesticides.
Exposure to pesticides can cause anything from rashes and a burning sensation to serious illness. That's why they hold these sessions. They provide long sleeve shirts to migrant workers who come on an H-2A visa to help protect them. The shirts come from donations in surrounding communities. Later we'll learn just how much the drought has spread and highlight some great families showing livestock.